can't hear me yet, but now you can hear me. What's up, everybody? Let me get this light to the right level here. Good to go. Everyone's currently hitting me in the chat, in my group chat, that's saying no audio, no audio. But we are, in fact, good to go now. It sounds good. Caleb, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you great.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing
Awesome.
well. I'm not seeing the same chat that you are, though.
Interesting, interesting. Very interesting.
I see the video.
Oh, well, there we go. Well, we're gonna go live with. Oh, looks like I lost my window just now. 1 second here.
No.
There's that, and here is this. And
Oh, there.
is this.
Someone just said "ooh" in the chat room. Now I see it.
Hey Val, how's it going? Good to see ya. We're gonna get started very shortly here, guys. Oh, it looks like I lost Caleb too. Oh no, that's unfortunate.
I put on the ring.
Well, there we are. So as you can see, wow, look at that. Hey everybody, how's it going, guys? Looks like people are starting to pour into the chat, which is awesome to see, as always. We got Solaris hanging out, Caliber. Can you guys hear and see me okay, everybody in the chat? Let me know if you can't, and we will get this started. Because as you can see, we have something of a unique setup for today. I'm trying to find my camera, too. I don't even know where to look. This is crazy. We have something of a unique setup here today because I've got the illustrious Caleb Grace with me today here. Caleb, how's it going?
Good, good. This is surreal watching myself on the Twitch as we're recording. I'm like 2 minutes in the future here, looking at myself in the past.
Caleb, could you do me a big favor and close that
Yeah.
blind that's behind you on the window?
That blind is closed. I'll just slide to my left.
You could.
Here to get
You could
away
do a little
from
slip
it.
slide, and maybe that'll do a little bit
You
better.
got it.
Let's, he's going to scoot his laptop over for you guys, folks.
Yeah.
Glad to hear that we sound and look okay. You will notice that there's a little bit of table shaking. I am going to do my best to minimize that, but it happens to be that at the old FFI offices today, there's a little bit of construction going on. So you may hear some stuff. You guys may see a little bit of shake. Please, my apologies for that in advance, guys. We will do our best to stop that from happening. Cool. So, what do I have for news? Yeah, it is a beautiful box, and we are going to get right in there very shortly, but I wanted to go over some stuff before we did that. So, first of all, we've got Gen Con coming up. Caleb, you're going to be there as well, right?
Sure am.
Awesome. Yeah, so that is exciting. I will be there myself as well. We will have Lotor LCG there, and you will be able to play it. You will be able to get your hands on the demo at both the FFG booth and the Asmodee Digital booth. Come by, say hi, check it out, let us know what you think. And we are excited to see you there. Tomorrow is the in-flight report. We will be streaming it from our Twitch channel as well. We will be hosting from FFG, so you'll be able to check that out. And then Thursday is Asmodee Digital's stream, which is going to have loads of cool information about upcoming games from them, including ours, as we are being published by them. So keep a lookout for all that stuff, guys, coming in the future. So there won't be a traditional stream on Thursday, but we will have the stream from Asmodee Digital as well as the in-flight report on Wednesday. But more importantly, for right now, what we have going on today, what is relevant to you folks, is that we are going to be unboxing the collector's edition for the Lord of the Rings living card game, combined with its tabletop cousin, the Lord of the Rings the card game, which is why I have that game's developer, Caleb Grace, here with me. Caleb, I am exhausted. Did I tell you that I was moving this week as well as going to Gen Con?
Yeah, you mentioned you chose an awkward time to do that.
I've chosen an awkward time for quite a few things in my life, Caleb, but it has never stopped me before, so here we are. Lulzer's pointing out the wonderful Pepsi product placement there from you taking a sip of your soda, but we are not sponsored by Pepsi.
I was thinking to myself as I took a drink, like, how long till the comments about, wait, that's not Mountain Dew?
That was the first thing I said when he logged on, just so you guys know.
Is this really Caleb? It's a fake.
Awesome. So we are going to get into this. We're going to unbox this. We're going to talk a little bit about the two-player limited edition starter that's included in the box that Caleb put together. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the adventures that are in there, and then we're going to go through some of the physical goods that are included in the box as well. We are going to be displaying some of the stuff that you might see within the collector's edition within the game itself on a later date. So that's going to be coming up on a future stream. We'll go into the digital form and see what's going to be in there. But remember, guys, none of the cosmetics that are included with the collector's edition are going to be exclusive to the collector's edition. You'll still get them, but you can also get them through getting the Mithril bundle pack, basically. which is very exciting for us. I love how you can see my hands on this stream for the first time. You guys get to see my very well manicured nails in my watch, which is great. I'm having so much fun with the formatting here, Caleb. I'm going nuts this week. All right, let's
just reminds you, I always talk with my hands even when I'm on the phone.
Oh, same
I'm like
here,
trying to like
yes.
draw pictures with my hands. I'm like, you can't see any of this. It'd be brilliant if you could.
I do that all the time. Yeah, gesticulating. It's the it's my background in theater. It's that high school as a theater kid time. coming back to rear its head. Okay, cool. So you want to get right into this, or do you want to talk a little bit about the box in general before we jump into taking a look at it?
What do you want to know about the box in general?
Well, I suppose I'm just without actually looking at the cards. I guess what I'm thinking about is what do you see this starter as? Like, what do you see the collector's edition as in terms of the intersection between digital and physical, and then what do you think that the physical cards in here will provide to maybe a longtime player of the tabletop game?
Sure. All right. So kind of two big things in there. How's it relate to digital, and what does it do with for the physical game? So let's talk about the digital one first, because that's kind of the easiest and the shortest answer. Is it's going to give people who are interested in primarily in the digital game an opportunity to see where it drew inspiration from, to sort of meet the game that gave birth to this one. So it's sort of like its parent game. And it might actually just turn them on to another great game. So the greatest thing for me about the tabletop game is being cooperative. It encourages community, so you get out and meet up with your friends, at your game store, or at your basement, or wherever, and just hanging out and playing with friends in person is a really fantastic experience. And so I'm very excited about the digital game, of course. But that's unless you happen to be sitting on the couch next to the person that you're playing with, most of the time you're not going to get that element. And so I feel like both products, have something really unique and valuable to offer. And so by including the box with this, it's kind of like saying like, hey, here's this other awesome experience that we're happy to share with you.
Yeah, the plan has always been to complement the two games together, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's important, just to show like, here, this is a game that Nate French created years and years and years ago that kind of started a new genre, and now it's been so popular and successful that it's kind of starting up another genre, on the digital sphere. So I think that's really exciting. So I'm glad it's been included, because I think it shows a lot of respect to its origins.
Yeah, well put. So
and then go ahead, please.
I was just gonna say, if I'm an old tabletop player, what am I getting in this starter that I might not have otherwise?
Right, yeah. So talking about the box itself and kind of like, well, what is the box and who is it for? This is one of the most tricky projects I've ever had to develop, because it's really for two distinct groups. It is for veteran players, and it's also for new players. And so that was a fun challenge to tackle, right? Like, how do you make a product that appeals to both? And it took a lot of discussion, a lot of thought, but I feel confident we really nailed it with this one. For the veteran players, it has two new heroes that are really awesome. Of course, they'll be released in a future product, but these ones come with that special graphic design that's unique to this product. So that's another thing for our veteran players, is the extended art windows and the different graphic designs. So you're going to see a lot of cards that you might already have, but you're going to see them in a brand new way. You're going to see elements of the art that you had not noticed before, and that's always fun. And the same is true for the encounter cards too. Like, that's something I'm not sure everyone knows yet, but the encounter cards also have extended art windows, and so you're going to see some enemies. You're like, I remember that guy, but he never looked this mean before.
Things have gotten significantly meaner. You heard it here first, folks.
And the scenarios themselves too. The scenarios are really there's always value for veteran players to get new scenarios. One of them is very beginner friendly for the new players, but it's also another opportunity for veteran players who are used to trying to teach the game to people. Like, it gives them a new scenario to use instead of maybe the passage through Mirkwood or whatever they've been using to teach the game. Here is a brand new scenario that's a really good intro that can be used to teach the game to their friends.
Awesome.
And then the second adventure is significant spike in difficulty from the first one, and has a lot more going for it that I think veterans will really enjoy, particularly the return of the cave torch. That was a favorite objective attachment from the Casa Doom box. So I think for people who've been with the game for a long time, there'll be a lot of fun nostalgia there.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be a Caleb Grace game if there wasn't a little bit of meanness in that second second adventure, right? Like it's got to be there.
Well, actually, it's kind of fun to be on the stream, be able to share this. I had a couple of guests here at the Game Center just a few weeks ago. There was a gentleman who's really active in the community named Mike. He goes by Master of Lore on the internet. He has his own blog, right? And he reached out to me to say that he was coming all the way from Hong Kong to Minneapolis.
Wow.
He had a wedding, and so he was just wondering if we could get together. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. I've made very near that flight, so if you're going to do that, we'll try to roll out a little bit of a welcome mat. And so I met up with him and another fan of the game who just happened to be in town at the same exact time. So when I went out looking for Mike, I didn't know what he looked like, and I ended up meeting somebody else instead. So we all ended up getting together and playing. And since I originally thought it was going to be the two of us, I thought, well, you know what? I'll just have him sign an NDA and I'll show him a little sneak preview of the box. And then when it ended up being three of us, I just let the two of them play, and it was really rewarding because they had a great time. It was just so much fun. Yeah, they got to play both the decks and both the scenarios, and so that was really fun for me to kind of see, because these were a couple of veterans, so it was really nice to see them just genuinely enjoy. At one point, it was like I think they stood up and cheered like when they got past a certain point, because it was, yeah, I think they fought the same like cave troll like 3 times. They just kept trying like the hardest one.
That is the true definition of trolling.
Yeah, there you go.
Val sarcastically points out that this box obviously shows how much the game is dying.
Yeah. It has been dying for as long as I've been working on it. If I'm to believe everything that I've read, it has been dying for my entire tenure on the game.
Yeah, of course. Well, hopefully, we can, like you said, bring in some new fans, give some veteran players some stuff to enjoy. But I think it's about time that we break this box open. What do you say?
Sounds great.
Let's take a look at it. So first of all, obviously, this is the package that you get it in. You excuse the glare a little bit there, but this is the cover. You can see the logos on the side there. It's wonderfully rewarding to see that Fantasy Flight Interactive logo finally in print like that. Yeah. And, of course, we've got your very handy-dandy handle up on the top there so that you can carry it. You can use this as a briefcase after you're done, folks. I don't advise it, especially if you've got some legal meetings, but you can do what you want. It's your box after this. Don't awesome. Break it, says Lulzor as well. All right, so let's get in here.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen the big box that it comes in. I've only seen
really?
the limited edition starter. Yeah, so I'm excited.
Awesome. That's awesome. Hopefully I don't bang my mic here. Oh, there's that. So you guys can see this okay? I'm going to flip it so that we can take a look at what's all in there. I'm going to bang my mic a little bit by doing that, but we can take a look right now.
Yeah, there's the box I recognize.
Yep, that's the one you're familiar with, right? But
yep. I've got a copy of that right next to me right now.
That's so cool. Yep, so we can take a look at some of those cards. But first I wanted to go over some of the cosmetics that are included. So you see we've got some lovely packaging here, some extra shrink wrap there. And then here's that 2-player limited edition starter that we had been talking about. So let's let the camera focus in a little bit on this. Look at that. And then on the back there as well, we've got a little bit of some of the same text that you'll see in the core set, but it's a little bit updated. And you can see some of the cards already, but we'll get a closer look at those once we get the box open and take a look at some of those. But first, let's get this, and let's go over the art prints that we've got included as well. So you're going to get, I've got to make sure not to flip this with the, but you're going to get art prints of each of the main heroes here. So we've got our Aragorn art print. You guys have seen this art if you follow us on Twitter. These are some of the banners that we've been using. Gimli here as well. Frodo. And, of course, Arwen is representing lore for us. These art prints are coming a little bit about postcard size, I should say. Kind of a glossy paper there. You can see kind of the size. I'll hold it up for comparison by my head here so that people can see what kind of size they're by. They're 5x7s, so you have some idea of how large they are here. And
they look really good. I like that Arwen art. Like, I've seen that on the card, but you don't get to see like the whole left side of that image.
Yeah, it's so cool. I love it. That's some of my favorite art pieces as well. And then of course we have our the collector's edition. This is the sheet that's going to come with all your codes and a little bit of a preamble about the game itself.
Awesome.
And here we have probably the coolest, the thing you would least expect to be included in this collector's edition, which is an awesome replica of the One Ring put together along with a numbered card here, or rather it's just the card exclusively created for Fantasy Flight Interactive, as you can see on that label, which is pretty cool there. You can see I'm having some trouble focusing, but let's get this up here, and I'm thinking about taking this out of the package. I don't know what you guys think. Maybe we'll do that in a little bit here, but I wanted to lay out this playmat so we could take a look. Now, Caleb, have you seen this as a final proof yet? The playmat that comes included as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is an image I'm really excited about. This was something we actually commissioned one of our artists here at FFG, and so this is an original FFG created map of Middle Earth.
I'm so excited. Okay, I'm a sucker for playmats. I don't know if you know this about me or not, but you can see what I already have at my desk here at the computer, the Fellowship 2014 one. But let's take a look now at the collector's edition playmat. Look at that. And I will tell you that the coloring I've got in the studio here isn't doing the justice to this wonderful gold yellow color that we've got for the map, just like the map that we've got in Bilbo's study, included in the game itself. But this beautiful thing that you are going to be able to get exclusively within this collector's edition. It's got that wonderful new playmat smell. You know what I'm talking about, Caleb?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That smell that you just can't get out when you first unravel these things.
You can walk by our POD factory across the street and just kind of waft that smell.
Oh man, wow. All right, so those are the physical goods. Let's take a look again at this ring here. We've got this packaged up, and it's got the script on the sides as well, of course, because it's a full replica. And it also has a little bit of some description text included as well in that packaging. So that's very cool. So those are the physical goods that you are going to be getting within the collector's edition. So you're going to get the cards. I'll show the art off one more time. I love that Gimli art. I love it because his hair, how his hair goes around his ears too. That classic dwarven beard that he's got going on. Frodo. And then there's that Arwen piece that we talked about. So those are the physical goods you're going to get, other than the card game itself. So let's get into the box and talk a little bit about what players can expect to see within this, and what they can expect moving forward. Now, this art piece too, you've seen this a lot at the promotional stuff that we've done for Lord of the Rings living card game, and so this is kind of our way of crossing over the two by using this piece of Gandalf here with Glamdring. And don't forget, guys, the soundtrack is coming within the collector's edition too, so you're going to get full access to the soundtrack. That code is included too. You'll get that through Steam, and that's the wonderful music developed by Steve Gurnis, who we've had on stream before. Definitely check that out if you missed that guest stream that we had in the past as well. But let's get the shrink wrap off this and open this up. So I was just telling Caleb before we started, I have actually not taken a look at this box myself. This is going to be my first time taking a look at it, and so I'm very excited to run it through, and hopefully some of my reactions will be similar to what you guys are thinking. But if you have any questions for Caleb while we're going through this, definitely drop them in the chat. We're not going to go card by card, but we are going to take a nice look at this. So for those wondering what the size of the box is, here's a good kind of idea of what it is relative to my head, which is what we compare everything to here at Fantasy Flight Interactive. But as you can see, this is the size we've got going. It's got like that wonderful
I've seen those order forms where it's like, well, how many Luke's head is this large?
That's how we weigh things when we're distributing.
2.5 Luke heads.
Awesome. Cool. So here's the learn to play that's included there. And then, oh man, I completely forgot. This probably has the new dials, doesn't it?
Yep, absolutely.
Wow. Okay, cool. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, this box comes with absolutely everything you need for 1 to 2 players to play the game.
Look at that punch. Nothing more satisfying than some unpunched punch. I'll tell you that much.
I love the little shrunk down first player token.
Oh,
we
yeah.
actually had to shrink it down to make it fit, to get all the punch onto that sheet. So you get the small threat dials and the little bitty first player token.
That's funny. Yeah, I hadn't even thought about the first player token. The threat dials were the things that stuck out to me the most.
Yeah.
Size 16 gives us 4 out of 5 Luke heads already, so we're doing pretty well for ourselves.
Yes.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. So, and then of course we've got our clicks for our dials here. Let's get into these cards here. I'm excited to fumble with these on stream so that people can see that I'm terrible at opening packages like this. But you can see we've got immediately, there's Aragorn.
Yep, that's the first deck that I think the two of the heroes from the second deck you're gonna find them on the bottom of this stack.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. They package it by card count, not necessarily by like deck 1, deck 2.
So let's take a look at that art real quick, guys.
Yeah, I like how you mentioned that. We talked about it ahead of the show, and I also told Luke, I said, yeah, give me your raw reactions. So like if you hate something, the players would love to hear you say that. What were you thinking, Caleb? Okay. Yeah, look at that extended art window.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
So there's the first new hero. You just passed the Gildor.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a hero we created new for this product that will be released at some point in the future. So his ability, we were just trying to think of something like what's something pretty, again, new player friendly, but appealing to veterans as well. And anyone who's been playing the game for any amount of time knows that leadership is rich in resources, but a little poor in card draw. So we gave Gildor the ability to turn one of those resources into a card, but only once per round. You can't get carried away.
Yeah, wow, that kind of shores up some of the weaknesses leadership has. Leadership kind of has the same strengths and weaknesses in the digital game as well. They love having their resources, but they just need that card draw. So we love to pair them with lore and make sure that we have a steady flow of ways to spend them.
Yep. And here I should also point out you can give that card to either player, so it's a very good co-op card as well. It's spend a resource and choose a player.
Interesting.
Yep. Yeah, so we paired leadership with spirit in this box. Doing 2-player decks, I wanted to give new players a little taste of all 4 spheres. And a lot of my favorite decks are dual sphere. So we chose leadership and spirit to go together largely because as you get down into the attachments, you'll see the Celebrian stone in there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a special attachment that goes on Aragorn usually, because if it's on Aragorn, it gives him the spirit icon.
Oh, wow.
So you get a little bit of resource smoothing when you put that on Aragorn, and allows him to pay for those spirit cards as well. And of course, there's a couple copies of Steward of Gondor in here as well. So if you put both on Aragorn, then you're able to pretty much just pay for everything with his resources.
Did you know that this image is my my desktop background here at work? This art piece
Which one
specifically?
now?
This art piece specifically?
Well, the problem with the leg is I don't know which one you're looking at.
That's Nath Guide.
Oh, yeah, that's a beautiful Magali piece.
Love it.
Yeah, I love how Nath Guide's just like some no-name ally we have in the game, but has like one of the most gorgeous illustrations.
Wow, this extended art is beautiful, Caleb. I'm loving this stuff. It's awesome.
Yeah, I really like how it opens up the window to see details you hadn't noticed before. And in some instances, it was kind of fun too, though, because some of the cards, were originally commissioned at a smaller size. And so extending the art window didn't necessarily give us more room to see. So instead, for some of those pieces, we zoomed in, like the Celebrian stone that you're holding there was commissioned originally for the smaller size. So zooming in, you find details too, which is kind of fun.
Is this Steward of Gondor that I see before me?
Yeah, like that's a really actually good example of how different it looks now.
Yep.
Because the original one's much more zoomed out. You see more of the throne, and you barely even notice the scepter. But of course, the stewardship, the steward didn't sit on the throne. He sat on the lower chair that you see the scepter propped up on.
Sure, that makes sense. We've got Unexpected Courage here, which is actually pretty similar to its digital version. Here, you exhaust Unexpected Courage to ready the hero. In our version, you use Unexpected Courage after you've defeated an enemy or completed an objective. You can ready up a character once per round, and we saw a lot of success with that card on last week's stream. So it's cool to see it return.
So while you're looking at that, and while somebody else is asking about why only 2 copies, there was a lot of thought that went into which cards and how many in this box, because it is such a unique product. What we didn't want it to do was negate any previous or future purchase.
Yep.
So there's no more than 2 copies of any card, the exception being Gandalf. You get 2 copies of Gandalf in both decks, so a total of 4.
Mm-hmm.
So what we tried to do was just really give people 2 things I want these decks to do. First of all, give new players a really good taste of what's in the game, a lot of variety. So each time you play this deck, it's going to play just a little bit differently depending on the order you draw the cards.
Mm-hmm.
And then secondly, for veteran players, again, a lot of the 2-ofs are cards that you only got 1 in the core set. So like the Unexpected Courage you were looking at, that's a 1-of in the core set.
Mm-hmm.
So getting 2 can flesh out your collection. If you have just 1 core set, that'll give you 3 for your play set.
Yeah, so it's kind of supplemental to the core set then, right?
Definitely. It was definitely in mind like that that this product does not replace the core set. It is an alternate entry point. But if you wanted to buy a core set after this, you would still have a lot of value. Obviously, you would get 3 new adventures in the core set, but you would also get those extra 1-ofs that if you wanted 3 Unexpected Courage, you would still need to pick up a core set to get that 3rd.
Yeah.
And more importantly, were the heroes that we kind of skipped over Dory there as we were going through.
We did.
I wanted to be real careful too that none of the heroes came like from an individual adventure pack, because I didn't want anyone to feel like, well, it's kind of pointless to buy that pack now. I already have the hero. So when I was selecting the heroes for this game, I chose 1 core set hero for each deck, 1 new hero, and then 1 that came from a deluxe box, because those come with more than 1 hero. So there's still value waiting for you in that purchase of, I believe Dory comes from one of the Hobbit boxes.
Sure.
So, there's no reason not to get the Hobbit box just because you have Dory. Now I'm getting ahead of myself. That probably our digital players have no idea what I'm talking about.
Well, here's the thing that I was just thinking about, Caleb, is that a lot of the people who are going to enter this game from the digital game, right, or they're interested in the digital game, they might want to move over into Lord of the Rings, the card game, the tabletop game. And that's going to be a new game experience for them because they're related, but they're not the same. But I would guess that people who are playing the digital game a lot are going to start at a higher level, maybe, than a player who isn't familiar with any of the versions of the game. You know what I mean? So having a more competitive way of getting in the game through this collector's edition, I think is really, really valuable on its own. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it really is fun. The core set is a great product, but the decks that it comes with are 30-card intro decks. And so one of the first things you have to do as a new player is build your own deck. And that can be a real fun challenge for people who enjoy deck building, but it can also be a hurdle for people that are more casual gamers, that they just kind of want to play through the stories. They don't necessarily want to have to think about building decks and what cards to put in. And so I was excited to build these 2 pre-constructed decks and really put myself in that headspace of mostly from a new player perspective of, okay, veteran players, they'll be able to figure out what this deck is about regardless of what I put in there. But new players are going to have to be able to process, like, what are all these cards and what do they do? And so I tried to build decks that really just felt like very intuitive to play. So that's why it was so rewarding to finally see someone play them, when I had my friends out here a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I'm sure. And it's nice that it ended up in that intersection like you wanted it to be. And, it ended up being the product that you made it, which is great. Let's take a look real quick at the next deck here.
Yeah, I think somebody was asking in the chat about, like, the alternate graphic design, if future cards are going to look like that. The answer is a very strong no. This the graphic design that you're seeing in this product is part of what makes this a limited collector's edition. Is all of this graphic design, all of what you're seeing on these cards is unique to this product.
That's awesome.
So we're still developing the regular card game, but we're still using the templates that we've been using all through the life of the game.
Sorry, guys, we had a bit of an earthquake there as a jet passed overhead, so the camera started shaking. You're going to see it in a second here on the stream. Sorry about that, guys. Cool, yeah. So, there's Legolas too. Wow.
Yeah, I tried to throw in some of those recognizable names, right?
I was going to
say the leadership deck has Gimli, and the tactics lore one has Legolas.
There's definitely some iconic characters, iconic beyond players who are big Tolkien fans or just huge fans of the card game too, who recognize a lot of those faces. There's Mablung, who of course is in the digital game as well as the level 2 lore card that you get in the Faramir pack. I'm a big lore player. I don't know if you know this about me or not, Caleb. but I've always played lore almost.
What is it about? Is it the card draw
Yeah,
mostly?
yeah. I'm a control guy, pretty through and through,
Okay.
and so I like having a lot of options and not a lot of ways to play them. Basically, there's Galathon Archer, our MVP here in the
Yeah.
tabletop version.
Oh gosh, yeah, I love the Archer in the digital game, and it does essentially the same thing here.
It's very close. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The Archer has been a real MVP in the digital game for sure. We'll talk a little bit about what you'd like to see. We'll speculate a little bit about what you'd like to see in the future, the digital stuff, and the direction you'd like to see it take as well. Once we finish going through some of these cards here, taking a look.
Sure.
Because I'm interested to hear what you have to think too. Always fun. Oh wow, that looks gorgeous.
Yeah, the Horn of Gondor was one of those like little gems that were like, wow, that looks great like that.
Yeah, yeah. I was just thinking Sneak Attack was the other one that blew me away in the last deck too. That looks gorgeous too. There's the Blade of Gondolin. Some delicious Lembas. How do you think Lembas tastes? Do you think it's good or bad?
He describes it as being pretty good.
He calls it
better than
too.
Cram.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Wow, look at those. Yeah, the event cards look great. Oh, there's Feint.
Yep. Got a lot of the cards that you would, hope to find when you're playing the game, like stopping an attack or canceling a when revealed. What I tried to do was put in some of those, more commonly used utility cards to introduce new players to them. Like, Feint is such a godsend when you're a new player and you're like, this enemy has 6 attack. What do I do? And you're like, oh, I could just stop it from attacking. That's amazing.
That's definitely true in the digital game too.
Yeah, and then I tried to include a couple more just splashy cards to give people a little taste of some of the wackier things that you can do. Like the Long Defeat is a one of in that lore deck that, attaches to the quest, and when you defeat the quest, everybody kind of gets a boost. I also put Gildor's Council in there, so you can cancel one of the reveals like before you even have to reveal it. That's sort of the big play for lore, is to, like you said, kind of control, right? Just like, no, you don't get to reveal a card this round. And on the leadership side, they get a single copy of Grim Resolve. That's the big 5-cost event.
Nice.
Just ready everybody. So when I think about Lord of the Rings, what I think about is sort of you have these incremental turns where you're just building up your board state, and then you have these big splashy turns, where you ready all your characters and you reveal just one card, and you quest for a ton and you kill all the enemies all in one go. And it's kind of like how Tolkien wrote his books, that just kind of making little by little, they're making progress, and suddenly there's this huge battle. It looks like all hope is lost, and then someone comes through and saves the day.
That's a good metaphor. I've never thought about it that way.
Yeah, it's totally just ingrained into the design process, almost on a subconscious level. Like growing up reading Tolkien since I was a kid, like he even made up his own word for it. I'm going to mispronounce it, but fans will correct me. It's like eucastaphoric or something. It's like catastrophic, but with like the beginning of Eucharist in there, like eucastroph. Oh my gosh, somebody help me online.
I'm sure someone will.
It's basically this idea he had that he loved so much, that really good epic fantasy storytelling is painting a picture so bleak that see, there we go. We got people help me out. Catastrophe. Yeah, see, I was trying to do too much.
You had it.
So the idea is that you paint a picture so bleak that it looks like there's just no hope, there's no way out, and then something amazing happens and the heroes win the day.
Yeah.
And you see he actually does this like several times in the book. Like I think it starts at like the Ford of Rivendell when Frodo's being chased by the Nazgul. It just seems like game over. He's just one hobbit against 9 riders, and then there's a flood. Just sweeps them all away. Or Helm's Deep. And the Battle of Pelennor Fields is my favorite. He just builds up to that moment so well. And then here comes the Riders of Rohan, and here comes Aragorn on the ships, and you're just like, that's amazing.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, so we try to do that in the game, where we can, but unfortunately it's not scripted, so sometimes the enemies just win.
But you do feel that tension in the game, and it's that feeling that if you guys come together and everybody, even when all the chips are thrown where they are and everything seems catastrophic, you have outs. You basically always have outs, and that's something we definitely tried to pull over in the digital game as well. So let's take a look at some of these encounter cards that we're going to take a look at as well. Some Sauron's cards.
Hey, as you're looking at, I think the bottom card in that pack. Can you just flash the bottom?
In this one, or
Is Yeah, the bottom of the enemy one is a double-sided card that I've been wanting in the game forever. It is a double-sided round sequence card.
look at that.
Uh, I'm so excited for this. This was like, what was the one thing I would do differently with the core set intro product? I would add a round sequence reference card. Just
Yep.
real easy, double-sided. Side one's got your resource, planning, quest, and travel. And then side two has got your encounter, combat, and refresh with little bullet points for everything you're supposed to do. And it also has page references to the rules book.
Oh, wow.
So if you need any more detail, it just tells you exactly where to turn in there in case you forgot what it means to refresh your characters or make engagement checks or something like that. So that's something I'm really happy about, just kind of nerding out about that.
Yeah, I was going to say, everybody in the chat is like looking for the cards. They want to see counter cards. And then us being developers, we're like, oh, wow, look at how great this round sequence is. This is exactly what we need. No, this is great. And we have it pointed out in the chat here, too. This is great to hand to new players. This is like exactly what they need to get started in the game with if they've opened up these decks, too. This is awesome for them.
Yeah, I've always likened learning this game to learning to ride a bike. Like it can be a little bit overwhelming or complicated at first, especially if you're not like a veteran card gamer. But once you learn the steps, it just feels very natural. I think that's why the game has succeeded for so long. That once you kind of know the steps, and it just feels like, yeah, this makes sense. So that little round reference guide is kind of like putting training wheels on the bike. That just really helps to steady the experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Penguins points out how helpful it's been in Arkham Horror as well, and yeah, definitely I've had that experience playing the Arkham Horror LCG too.
Cool, very cool. Yeah, so when you open the encounter cards, it's kind of funny because the quests are all lumped together at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So going through the cards, I should point out, like, what you're seeing right now is the encounter set for the first scenario. So the greatest challenge with this product was actually because with two pre-constructed player decks, that takes up 100 cards out of 100 and what is it? I don't know if it's 56 or 65 in this. I think it's 165.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have the back of the box there to reference?
Let me take a look real quick. You got yours?
Yeah, it is 165. I was pretty sure that I advocated for the extra cards just to make sure we had enough room. So, but with 100 of those, taken up with player cards, having enough left over for two fully realized scenarios was a little bit of a challenge. So what we did is we created one extra encounter set that floats between the two of them.
Oh, wow.
So again, veteran players will be used to the idea of encounter sets and having to pick about, maybe 3, 4, 5 encounter sets that they need to shuffle out of this one and into the next one.
Mm-hmm.
But here we tried to keep it, again, very, very new player friendly and easy access. So there's only 3 encounter sets in this box. One is for the first scenario, one's for the second, and then one is a little set of like about 10 cards that floats between the two of them.
Cool. Wow. Awesome. Yeah, I don't want to spoil what's in these encounter decks, so I don't want to go through all the cards because I want players to be a little bit surprised. But
yeah, I could just provide like a brief overview of the two scenarios.
Yep, that's perfect.
Yeah. So without giving away all the surprises, as I mentioned before, the first scenario is definitely a beginner-friendly, learn-to-play style where, people have been following my designs are kind of used to seeing some ongoing effects or abilities on the quest cards that are meant to challenge the players. And with a new player scenario, you don't really have that. So stage 1 just has a little bit of flavor text about the story, and that's it. Nothing to contend with.
Sure.
And the story, I wanted to connect the two adventures together thematically, so it's not true campaign play, but it gives you the experience of feeling like the two adventures are linked and you're on this larger journey. So the story in the first adventure is that you are just sort of passing by the eaves of Mirkwood when you see kind of like smoke rising in the distance, and you come upon this woodman village that's been attacked by goblins, and there's buildings on fire and there's bodies strewn about, and you find some survivors who say that the goblins took a bunch of captives with them. So they came. That's actually out of the Hobbit that it talks about that they used to take people prisoner and make them work in their mines and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
So bad things await these people, and so they being heroes, they ask you to go and rescue them, and so you swear this oath that you will do your best and find them. And so when my friend Mike was out here, he did a great job like reading the flavor text. He was really into it. He says, "Oh, an oath." He's like, "Okay, now we know it's real. Like oaths in Lord of the Rings are a big thing. Like you don't just
That's when
like,
it gets serious.
He's like, we're not going home till we rescue these people.
We've oathed this. This has to happen.
Yeah. So scenario 1 doesn't actually see you rescuing them. Scenario 1 is you pursuing the orcs through Mirkwood. You're following their trail, and you eventually have to deal with the rear guard that they leave behind to stop you as they figure out they're being chased. So that's the intro one, and that's probably for most people going to be the less exciting of the two. It's a solid scenario, but for me the real meat of the box is scenario number 2, and this is a scenario I took a little creative license with. I just had a lot of fun making this up. I knew I wanted to bring back the cave torch because I know how much people enjoy that. And so I know we're going underground. We're going to follow the goblins into their lair. But, where is their lair? So that's where I got to be a little more creative. I thought there are mountains in Mirkwood that we know almost nothing about from reading the text.
Yeah.
So I decided, well, what if this wasn't necessarily like the goblins didn't build this place. It was actually like an abandoned dwarf mine, but not like Khazad-dûm, not like Moria that we've already been to where it's huge and it's epic, but rather there were this lesser race of dwarves called petty dwarves that they were kind of just reviled by everybody. So they're very secretive. And so this is why we never heard of this dwelling in Mirkwood, because they would have been very secretive about it. So then we imagined, well, what would have caused them to leave? And so we sort of made up this idea that, well, there was maybe an earthquake or something that just made the place a little unstable. So they had to leave. So the adventure is called the Caves of Niben Doom, and Niben is actually just like the dwarven word for petty.
Oh.
So it translates to like the caves of the petty dwarves. It's the petty home. So you get to do a lot with the cave torch in this one, exploring dark locations. And for those who aren't familiar with the cave torch, what it does, it allows you to like put progress on a location, but you have to discard the top card of the encounter deck. And if that card's an enemy, then it goes into play. So it's sort of like as you're peeking around in the dark, you also risk drawing attention to yourself. So we got to do some neat things with that. Like one that I'll just spoil is there's this Cavern Warg is a new enemy in this set. So there are some new cards for players. Obviously, all the quest cards are new.
Oops.
But the Cavern Warg is like scared of fire. Go figure. Like most animals are.
Right.
So it has this response like when it attacks you, you can actually exhaust the cave torch to scare it away and run it back to the staging area.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that was really fun. And I also, I won't spoil the other one. There, like I said, I was talking about my friends being out here and playing. That moment where they were cheering, there's a fun little twist for the players midway through the quest that I will leave for them. No, I won't. I'm gonna spoil. Is that okay? I'm too excited.
You can do what you want. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about it. Spoiler alert! If you don't want to hear, just log out for a minute.
There's that cave torch.
Yeah. Can you find the cracked pillar?
The cracked pillar, you say?
Yeah, it would have been like right before the cave torch.
This cracked pillar?
Yeah. So this is the big twist that I'm really excited about. And I want to give credit to Matt Newman because he helped me with this design. I was designing this quest and I said, okay, I have this story where like, you're trying to track down these goblins and they lead you into an ambush and you kind of fight through it. And they do like goblins do sometimes, and they run away, but they run over this like chasm, and then they throw the bridge down behind them, so you're stuck on the other side. It's
oh no!
And I'm describing this story to Matt, saying, I need a hook here, help me out. And he says, well, what if if there's pillars in this hall and you have to knock one over in order to get across? And I was like, that's perfect, that's it right there. So this pillar is unique in that you can attack it while it's in the staging area, just like using your attack strength during combat. You attack it like it's an enemy, and you put damage on it until you get enough damage to knock it down. And so its travel cost is to remove 4 damage from it. So it's this moment where like you're hacking at this thing and then you push it over.
Oh
And
my
once you've
gosh.
traveled to it, then you can explore that quest stage and move on to the next stage.
I love the idea of everybody banging into the, like, everybody's ramming their shoulders into this thing trying to knock it down and escape.
Yeah.
Like that is that tension that you were talking about. That's
It
that
was a really fun moment, right? Because you know, they had the new Thorin Stonehelm tactics hero that comes in this box, and they had his attack power pretty well built up with dwarven axe and things like that. So he knocked that sucker over, and it was a really good moment.
yeah, those kinds of unique, like, the thing that Lord of the Rings, the card game, gives you is these unique story moments that can get represented through the game, and that's what we're trying to bring forth with Lord of the Rings living card game as well, with moments like, you know, which cocoon are you going to free the captives in, which cocoon are they in, or always go left cocoon is the opinion of chat, or you know, like, how do you get through this forest? Like, which path is the correct one? Which one's going to lead towards the Marsh or those kinds of story moments? That's something that we're definitely looking forward to producing more of in the future. So I guess, Caleb, that's my next question for you, is like pure speculation. I mean, everybody in the chat knows this because they watch our streams. They know everything we do is subject to approval, subject to change based on development. But like, just spitballing, what's something you'd love to see in the digital game that you just don't think would be capable in the tabletop game?
Yeah, that's really the number one thing that excited me about working on the digital game is there's things like this, you know, including the cracked pillar and the ability to knock it over. The problem with trying to keep that a secret, you know, why I don't really mind spoiling it, is as soon as someone opens the box, they can just read ahead and they can know exactly for themselves what's going to happen. You know, as the scenario says, put this card aside and that card aside, it kind of gives you a little like idea of what's coming. But in the digital game, you know, you're not setting up any encounter cards. You're not doing any. It's all automated for you. So there really is a true surprise of like, unless you've played it before, you really have no idea what's going to happen. And even then, it might happen differently next time. So I do like the idea that you can get different results, you know, different things happen that surprise you. And I also really like, yeah, too, like the things like the cocoon that are just so thematic that you can represent in the game that are just a little bit easier to do since it's all automated. Like I'm limited by how much text can I actually fit on this card? And even if I can fit it all, is it even fun to read all that wall of text, you know?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. What
Yeah,
about...
so oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask, like, one thing that I always find tabletop designers are concerned with that we don't really have to worry about in the digital space is player understanding, you know? Like, you've got someone who's maybe they're playing, and they live, you know, not in a place where they have a lot of internet connection. They get these games because they want... you know, they want that kind of experience, especially these solo games, and maybe they're not playing correctly the whole time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of that where I see people, new players all the time, going on the forums and learning from veteran players that they've been playing it wrong the whole time, you know. Like I played wrong when I first started. I played wrong like my first 3 games.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's like you said, it's a complicated thing, but it's like riding a bike. But the thing about the digital is that because we don't really have to worry about that as much, you know, we are free to explore a lot of different space based on that because we know they're going to be playing according to the rules that we've set forth, basically.
Yeah, so kind of to answer your original question on things like I'm most excited about, I really like the idea, like one of the things we try to do in the tabletop game is give people like new tools, new, you know, quest specific cards like the cave torch in this one, you know, and but you can just do a lot with that in the digital game where you can have, you know, perhaps an ally who has a mind of his own or her own that just behaves in a way that you don't control, you know, like I don't know what my ally is. You could imagine like perhaps like a Gollum or Smeagol ally who's just like, I don't know if he's going to help me or hurt me this turn. You know, it's like, I don't know how much I can rely on this guy.
Right,
you know, just giving, you know, building scenarios around the idea of we're going to give you something unique to this adventure that's just really a lot of fun to play with. Like, I've seen this in other digital games where, you know, they give you something that's just a little deviation from the core experience that just that one little addition totally changes the way it plays. You're still playing the same game, but it feels so fresh and new because of that one little twist.
Absolutely.
And so I really like how, you know, both games can do it, but they do it in different ways.
Engage in the chat says, So Luke claims we can't break the digital game. Challenge accepted, which is, I'm sure the players are going to absolutely completely destroy the game pretty quickly. But one of the other benefits that actually brings it up about playing in digital is when we need to errata cards or we need to issue changes to card text, which is obviously something that FFG has tools in place for the tabletop game, but it's exciting in digital because we can just push those changes, basically. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, I know people, and I honestly I share this opinion. Like people generally dislike errata because if you have a physical card errata, it's like, well, you either need to repurchase that card, which no one really wants to do, or you have to just remember what it does.
Right.
And especially if you're trying to teach new players, that's a bit of a burden to be like, well, here's this card. Well, it doesn't actually do that, So we try to be very careful with that. But yeah, in the digital game, it's nice that it won't even be an issue because, hey, look, you still have the card. You don't have to repurchase it. It just has new text now. You don't have to remember it because it's it does it for you.
We'll do the remembering for you.
Mm-hmm.
You focus on the playing.
Yeah, I see someone said, please don't do the ogres like from Hearthstone. Like, I think they're responding to us talking about people having a mind of their own, and I know that card they're talking about has like a 50% chance to attack the wrong thing or something. I was actually thinking of something more like resembling like a sort of a primitive form of AI that whatever ally I have. Like other people were mentioning the dwarf from a Tharbad scenario. I think I forget his name right now. Everyone kind of hated him because he raised your threat. But if you could imagine that character is a storytelling device, and they draw you into the story by behaving the way that character would, and it's beyond your control. So it'd be like this turn, you really wish they would attack this enemy and kill it, but they're like, nope, I ain't going near that enemy. I'm going to go quest over here. And you're like, and it's just it becomes part of the storytelling, perhaps. This is just me spitballing off the top of my head.
No, but it's great because I agree. And one of the things that was our philosophy when we set out to bring living card games to digital formats was, how do we make games that tell better stories? Just how do we do that within this format, and how does digital allow us to do that? So hearing those ideas and those challenges, like it's refreshing to hear that you're also on the same page about a lot of that stuff, because I agree. Awesome. Well, those are the questions that I had specifically for you, Caleb, but I wanted to go over briefly again what's included in this collector's edition, just for people who might miss it. So, of course, you're going to get the Mithril Bundle for Lord of the Rings Living Card Game. You're going to get access for that early access game. You're going to get a ton of extra valor, some in-game cosmetics, some avatars, player tags, all that stuff that's going to get you started on your journey through Middle-earth and denote that you got this collector's edition. You're also going to get the soundtrack, which is included, of course, on MP3, so that's going to be through Steam. You're going to get that included as a code. You're going to get the art prints that we have included here. There's Frodo, Aragorn, Arwen, Gimli. The One Ring, which is gorgeous, with the Elven script that's included. A nice little card there as well, as shows that it's been exclusively printed for Fantasy Flight Interactive. And of course, you get the 2-player starter here. And we'll go over the box in a second too, but I just wanted to fan out the cards a little bit and show that beautiful art one more time. There's the Archer poking out. And one more time here. I wanted to, you know what? I actually did want to show Sneak Attack again, just because I absolutely love the way it looks in here. So let's take a look here.
That's actually one of my favorite art pieces after opening up the core. I even asked Nate French about it after I was hired. I was like, what was the inspiration for this piece? Like, this is really cool. It's like this crazy hobbit, like, diving out of a tree on top of an unsuspecting orc.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what I love about it, too, is, like, thematic, but it's also iconic, because who doesn't remember like the first time they cracked open that core set and getting to sneak attacking Gandalf for the first time, and you're like, I think I kind of get why people play this game now.
Such a good feeling.
The best. And and of course we've got the punch as well included with the smaller threat dials, everything you need to get started. Here's that turn order card that we had been fawning over, Caleb and I had been fawning over, and hopefully you guys feel the same way. It's a kind of a resource for new players as well. Let's get that, and then we'll take a look at the 2-player box, and we'll take a look at the large box itself. Let's get this loaded up. It's got that nice.
Yeah, I'll be autographing turn sequence cards at Gen Con.
Hey, that's not a bad idea at all.
Oh wait, we won't have them yet though. Shoot.
Oh, that's too bad. That's too bad.
Next year.
Yep, one of these days. We'll be ready for that. Let me set this aside real quick while we get these art prints collected. Oop, looks like I landed on my headphones there and knocked out one of my channels, but that's okay. Now we're good to go. All these art prints together as well. Fix my headphones real quick. There we go. That sounds much better. And, of course, the playmat, which is going to be an excellent addition to my collection of many, many playmats across the surfaces of my home. My loved ones are concerned with the amount of playmats that I have everywhere. This will only add to that collection.
Yeah, I've always loved playmats too, and then I found like I would always forget to use them, and part of it was just like carrying them with me.
Mm-hmm.
So I finally broke down and bought like a little special case to put that one in, because I just love that map so much. It's like, this is something I advocated for. I need to play with it.
Yep, absolutely.
So that's the one that I always use whenever I play.
Let's take a look at the actual box itself again one more time. I'm going to dip down below to go grab it, guys. So, Caleb, can you entertain them for a brief second?
Yeah, Chad's asking about the player cards that were spoiled. So we didn't go card by card, but we did highlight some of the big ones. So the heroes, there's 2 decks. We have Leader and Spirit, Lore and Tactics. Leader and Spirit comes with Aragorn, Dory, and the new Gildor hero. And on the Lore Tactics side, it's Glorfindel and Biffer, and then the new Thorin Stonehelm hero. So obviously the Lore Tactics deck excels at card draw and healing and damaging the enemies, taking care of business on that end. And the Leadership Spirit deck is going to handle the majority of the questing, threat reduction, cancellation, sneak attack Gandalf, all that good stuff. I also talked just in summation, I talked briefly about the thought process that went into building the decks and what cards I chose. I was not trying to build like the 2 most powerful decks ever. That would have, honestly, I think would have been kind of dull. What I'm really trying to do is give new players a good taste of everything that's in the game, what each sphere is kind of about, and different kinds of effects. And then for veteran players, it's sort of a chance to play a different style. Instead of, I know a lot of people do 3-ofs, or they go just tribal, like I'm only playing dwarves in this deck. This was more designed around sort of dwarves, elves, and men was kind of the idea, trying to show, there's a little bit of other stuff in there too. But I was just mostly trying to show off some of what the game can do and how each game can be fun and different with a deck that has some variety to it. So there's a lot of big name characters. Most of the uniques you're just going to get one of. So like one Gimli ally, one Legolas ally. There's a couple 2-ofs because they're characters like Galadriel and Elrond who are only there for 1 round and then they go away. So you get a little extra chance to play them twice. Actually, I need to give a shout out to my playtesters because they really helped me by playing these decks a lot, and they gave me a lot of great feedback. They really helped to balance the complexity of the decks. That was one thing that kind of kept coming up was, hey, if these need to be new player friendly, then let's be sure not to put in too many complicated abilities. So that's why we have more characters that either just kind of do one thing, or they might not have any text at all. They might just be like the Defender of Ramos, who's just a really good defender, and that's it. That's all he does. Or the Silverlode Archer, because he has ranged, and that's it. That's what he does. And then but we didn't want them all to be plain and boring. So you get a nice variety. You get some very simple cards, and then you get a couple, like we mentioned, some real splashy moments with Grim Resolve or the Long Defeat. Things like that give you an idea of like, wow, it can be a lot more than just stats too.
Man, I kind of want to play this thing now.
Yeah, well, I hope you do, and I hope everyone that plays it just has a lot of fun with the decks, because I'm actually really proud of them. Like that was a super fun moment for me having my friends come out. I want to give a shout out to them too for sitting down and playing through the whole thing and just letting me watch, because it was super rewarding to see them just have a lot of fun. Like they were talking about the player decks that they really liked, and that it was different than the kind of decks that they would normally make, but that it was kind of eye-opening for that they were still able to defeat both scenarios with them, even on their first try. Like I can't promise everyone will. That second adventure can be pretty tough. It can be pretty tough, so don't expect to win on your first try, but definitely all the tools that you need to do it are in there.
Awesome. So there was one last question that I definitely want to address in the chat, because I think it is of the utmost importance, and it is, when is this going to be available? Which I will let you guys know. It is available for pre-order now. If somebody wants to drop a link in the chat, go right ahead. I will not protest, but it is available for pre-order right now through Asmodee North America. You will get it prior to the launch of the digital game, so you'll get it in your hands right before that August 28th earlier access launch, and you'll be able to start playing the Lord of the Rings living card game on August 28th, and of course you'll be able to play the Lord of the Rings the card game the second you get this 2-player starter here. And so so go ahead and pre-order on Asmodee North America. Numbers are starting to run out, guys. So if you're thinking about it, if you're on the fence, I would encourage you to think about ordering it for sure, so that you definitely get your copy, because we are limited in the amount that we're showing off here. Cool. Is there anything else you wanted to go over, Caleb, or anything else you wanted to address before we hop off for the day here?
No, man. Thanks for having me on again. It's always great chatting with you.
Yeah, I had a blast. Thanks so much for letting us know kind of your process behind the game and where you think it can go. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you for some future streams too, coming up pretty shortly here.
That'd be fun.
Awesome, man. Yeah, have a wonderful day. I will see you at Gen Con probably, if not tomorrow, then the day after. So
I'll be easy to find. I'm going to be at the same place all 4 days.
I'll be a little bit more mobile, but I'll do my best to find you. Thanks again for joining us, Caleb.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and thank you guys for joining us as always. Of course, you can find us on Twitter at FFI_games. You can find us on Facebook.com/FFI games. You can find us on Twitch.tv, and that's FFI games as well. You can find us on Facebook.com/Fantasy Flight Interactive, as well as our YouTube channel, which is Fantasy Flight Interactive. I'm going to do my best to expedite this and get this up on our YouTube channel so people who missed it can see it. The VOD will remain here on Twitch as well, so definitely go back, take a look at those cards. Feel free to take screenshots if you want, guys. Go right ahead. And take a look at what we've got on offer for you. But we will be back next Tuesday with another stream. Remember to catch the in-flight report tomorrow, as well as Asmodee Digital stream on Thursday. Thanks one more time, Caleb, for joining us. And if that's everything, we'll say goodbye. Have a good night, guys, and we will see you later.